The rain didn't fall tonight. It attacked the city in violent sheets, hammering against Manhattan like a warning from the sky itself. And in the middle of Fifth Avenue, stumbling in a ruined wedding gown, was Lauren Hale, pregnant, barefoot, and running for her life. Her veil was torn, her makeup washed away, her breathing ragged. She looked less like a bride and more like someone escaping a nightmare. And she was. Passing cars sprayed dirty water across her dress, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Not after seeing the contract hidden inside Colton Maddox's private safe, the one she was never meant to find. The one stating she would forfeit all parental rights the moment she said, "I do." Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. The sidewalk tilted. Then, blinding headlights. A sleek Mercedes Maybach braked inches from her. The driver's door swung open, and a tall man stepped out, rain soaking through his charcoal coat. Lauren couldn't see his face, only the sharp silhouette against the glowing skyline. "Ma'am? Are you hurt?" His voice was steady, deep, strangely calm, despite the storm swallowing the street. Lauren tried to answer. Instead, her knees buckled. He caught her before she hit the pavement. Warm hands, strong grip, not threatening, not like Colton. "Let's get you out of the rain," he murmured. A flash of lightning illuminated his face, Jace Whitmore. The billionaire who built an empire from ashes. The man Colton Maddox hated more than anyone alive. Lauren didn't know any of that. She only knew she was cold, terrified, and holding her stomach as another sharp pain shot through her. But somewhere else in the storm, a shutter clicked. A paparazzi camera. A photo that would explode across every news site by morning. And the man she was running from, the one who wanted her child more than her, would see it first. And he would come for her. Lauren Hale had never imagined her life would unravel in a single night, much less in a drenched wedding gown on Fifth Avenue. But for 27 years, life had always asked her to survive storms she didn't deserve. She just never expected the biggest one to arrive the moment she was supposed to walk down the aisle. Born in a modest two-bedroom house outside Portland, Lauren grew up without luxury, without connections, and often without anyone to shield her from the world's cruelty. When she was 16, her parents died in a highway accident, leaving behind nothing but a worn-out savings account and a box of family documents she never had the strength to open. Life after that was a series of small battles: scholarships, part-time jobs, cheap apartments, and long nights studying under flickering bulbs. People who met her often mistook her softness for weakness. But Lauren had a quiet resilience, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't demand attention, but refuses to be destroyed. After finishing her degree in data analytics at Oregon State, she moved to New York with nothing but a second-hand suitcase and an old MacBook Air she protected like treasure. She worked as a contract analyst at a mid-tier financial firm, low pay, long hours, but stability. She didn't fit into Manhattan's glossy, high-heel world, but she worked hard enough that people noticed. One of those people was Colton Maddox. Colton had the kind of presence that made entire rooms shift. Sharp jaw, perfect suit, heir to a multi-billion-dollar empire. When he walked into her office for a contract review, Lauren assumed he wouldn't know her name. But he remembered it. Again and again. He sent flowers to her cubicle. He asked her to dinner. He acted patient, gentle, almost tender. It felt like a fairy tale. A real, impossible fairy tale. And when a man like Colton looked at a woman like her, the world whispered one word: lucky. But Lauren didn't fall in love with the money. She fell in love with the man who held her hand during late-night walks, who asked about her parents, who spoke about wanting a family one day. She fell for the version of him he wanted her to see. When she found out she was pregnant, Colton's reaction was immediate, joy too immediate, too rehearsed. But Lauren, desperate for love, ignored the unease in her chest. She never questioned why he insisted on handling the wedding arrangements, or why he hired private security to protect her during pregnancy, or why his mother kept asking what bloodline Lauren came from. She brushed off every red flag, until the day before the wedding, when she accidentally discovered a legal contract in Colton's safe. It was written by Maddox family attorneys, stamped with the corporate seal, and detailed a horrifying clause: she would have no legal rights to her child. The baby would be registered directly under Maddox Holdings as a future claim to a mineral estate, an estate Lauren didn't even know she had ties to. And suddenly, every gesture, every smile, every diamond ring felt like chains. She tried confronting him, But Colton only smiled and said she misunderstood. He kissed her forehead, told her she was emotional, and locked the document away. The next morning, she put on her gown and ran. Now, sitting inside a stranger's luxury car, soaked and shaking, Lauren realized she had stepped into a different kind of storm, one involving billionaire enemies, hidden legacies, and a baby she would die to protect. And beside her sat the one man Colton Maddox hated more than anyone alive. Jace Whitmore looked at her in a way that said he knew far more than he should, and that was when Lauren realized her nightmare had only just begun. The city outside the Maybach's tinted windows felt unreal to Lauren, like a world she no longer belonged to. Manhattan at night glowed with its usual arrogance, towering glass giants slicing into the storm, neon signs flickering across wet asphalt, and the endless hum of a city that refused to sleep. Yet tonight, everything seemed sharper, louder, as if the entire skyline was leaning in to watch her fall apart. Jace Whitmore drove without speaking. His hands rested calmly on the leather steering wheel, the dashboard lights reflecting off the stainless steel watch on his wrist. The car's interior smelled faintly of cedar and expensive cologne, nothing like the sterile scent of Maddox penthouses, where everything was polished but nothing ever felt warm. Lauren kept her hands over her stomach, fighting the tremors creeping through her body. The city blurred past, Wall Street's illuminated signs, the silhouette of the Brooklyn Bridge in the distance, the golden crown of the Chrysler Building shimmering through the rain. These were places she used to admire from afar on her bus rides, home after long shifts, symbols of the life she never expected to touch. Now she was in the middle of it, trapped between two giants who could crush her without blinking. The Maybach turned onto Park Row, gliding past the barricades near City Hall. Jace didn't drive like a billionaire. He drove like a soldier, steady, alert, calculating every move in silence. They stopped beneath the overhang of the Whitmore Tower, a 78-story column of steel and glass rising like a blade against the storm. The entrance glowed with soft golden lights, reflecting off the rain-soaked pavement. Lauren had seen the tower once in a magazine. It was described as the beating heart of Whitmore Innovations. Seeing it now in person, she felt impossibly small. Security guards stepped forward the moment the car pulled in, moving with synchronized precision. None of them asked questions. None of them even looked surprised. Jace simply nodded, and the world parted for him. Inside, the lobby felt like another planet, quiet, warm, and elegant in a way that didn't scream wealth but whispered it. Marble floors, gray stone walls, a massive digital art installation shifting like northern lights behind the reception desk. No cameras pointed at guests' faces. The privacy was intentional. Lauren felt the weight of her wet dress pulling at her, water dripping onto the immaculate floor. She clutched the fabric tighter, suddenly aware of how out of place she looked among the sharp lines and curated elegance. A woman in her 40s approached them, tall, poised, dressed in a tailored navy suit. "Mr. Whitmore," she greeted with a respectful nod. "Shall I prepare the executive suite?" Lauren blinked. "Executive suite?" Jace answered calmly. "No, the penthouse." Even the woman looked startled for half a second. They rode the private elevator in silence. The ascent was smooth, quiet, so quiet Lauren could hear her own heartbeat echoing inside her ribs. She gripped the rail, trying not to think about how far she was from everything she knew. From her old life, from safety, from certainty. When the doors opened, the penthouse revealed itself. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city, the skyline alive with lightning and shimmering reflections. A long wall of bookshelves. A grand piano. A minimalist living area filled with soft gray furniture. Everything looked curated, precise, almost too perfect. It was the home of a man who trusted no one enough to let anything be out of place. Lauren's breath hitched. "Why did you bring me here?" she whispered. Jace studied her, not with pity, not with curiosity, but with an unsettling familiarity, as though he already knew pieces of her story she had never shared. His answer was steady, almost quiet. "Because you're not safe anywhere else tonight." Before Lauren could speak, the elevator chimed behind them, unexpected, uninvited. And whoever stepped out was not supposed to be there. The elevator doors slid open with a soft metallic sigh, and Lauren felt her stomach twist. She hadn't heard footsteps. She hadn't heard a keycard swipe. But the air in the penthouse shifted the moment the stranger stepped out, like something dark had slipped into a space that didn't belong to it. He was dressed in a rain-slick black suit, droplets still clinging to his shoulders. His hair was perfectly styled, untouched by the storm. His expression carried the kind of smug confidence found only in men who believed the world owed them everything. Colton Maddox. Even from across the room, Lauren felt her pulse spike. The man she was running from, the man she almost married, the man who smiled like a savior but planned like an executioner. He stepped forward slowly, his shoes silent on the marble floor. "Lauren," he said, voice smooth as velvet yet terrifyingly cold. "You gave us quite a scare tonight." Us. Meaning his family. Meaning Maddox Global Holdings. Meaning the machine that owned nearly everything it touched. Lauren instinctively backed toward the couch. Her hands flew to her stomach, protective, trembling. How did you find me?" Colton's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You left in the middle of our wedding. You disappeared from a secured venue, and you never made it to your bridal suite. Of course I found you. I always find what belongs to me." Jace stepped between them before Lauren could react. His posture was calm, but the atmosphere sharpened around him like a blade being unsheathed. "She doesn't belong to you," he said quietly. Colton's eyes flicked to Jace with a mix of amusement and disdain. "Whitmore," he breathed, like a punchline to a joke he didn't find funny. "I should have known." Jace didn't blink. "Get out." Colton chuckled, unbothered. "You think you can hide her here? The press already has photos of her entering your car. They're running wild with the story. Pregnant runaway bride rescued by her fiancé's greatest rival." His gaze cut to Lauren. "Your disappearance is about to become a media event, sweetheart. And that child, our child, is the headline. Every important, ever." Lauren's voice trembled. "The baby is mine, Colton." "Legally?" he asked, tilting his head. "We'll see." A mother who runs away in the middle of her vows doesn't look stable. The press loves a fragile woman. Courts do too. Jace's jaw tightened. "You won't touch her." Colton's attention settled on Jace with open malice. "You think this is about her?" "No, this is about what she carries." His fingers tapped his coat pocket. "I know about the mineral estate in Montana. The inheritance. The lineage. The baby ties the claim to the Maddox family. You should have told her, Lauren. You should have told her she's the key." Lauren froze. She didn't understand. She didn't even know she had an inheritance. Jace looked at her, a flicker of something like guilt crossing his eyes. Colton saw it and laughed. "Ah. He hasn't told you anything, has he? But I will." He stepped forward, voice lowering. "Your father wasn't just some small-town dreamer. He owned something the world is willing to kill for. And the minute you sign my marriage license, the Maddox family gains everything." Lauren's breath caught. "I'm not signing anything." Colton smiled. "You won't have a choice." Jace moved in front of her again. "She has a choice now." Colton's smile dropped. His eyes hardened into steel. Not for long. Before anyone could react, Colton reached into his coat and pulled out something that made Lauren choke on her breath. Colton's hand emerged from his coat, holding a single white envelope, thick, embossed with a golden seal, the kind used only for legal documents that carried the weight of dynasties. Lauren's throat tightened as she recognized the emblem, the Maddox family crest, a serpent wrapped around a crown. He held it up between two fingers like a trophy. "Your marriage license," he said, voice dripping with triumph. "Signed, stamped, and ready. You vanished, but I anticipated your cold feet. T% of. T%. Lauren's breath stuttered. "I never signed anything." Colton's smirk deepened. "But darling, it has your signature." A cold wave crashed through her. Forged. He forged her name. He'd planned this long before she ever thought of running. Jace took one step forward, eyes narrowing dangerously. "Forgery is a federal offense. And hiding a pregnant woman in your private residence is kidnapping," Colton countered smoothly. "Which do you think the press will run with first, Whitmore?" The air turned electric. Outside the penthouse windows, lightning split the sky, illuminating the city like a battlefield. Inside, the storm was worse. Lauren felt trapped between two forces, larger than life, one trying to protect her, one trying to consume her. Suddenly, Colton pulled out his phone, clicked a button, and turned the screen toward them. A breaking news banner blared across it. Runaway bride rescued by billionaire rival questions rise about baby's father. Lauren's lungs constricted. The photo of her collapsing into Jace's arms was plastered across every major news outlet. Over 1 million shares in 20 minutes, Colton said proudly. By morning, the world will believe you fled our wedding because you were guilty. Guilty of what? Lauren whispered. Colton's smile turned venomous. Infidelity. Jace exhaled sharply. You're deranged. No, Colton said, sliding his phone into his pocket. I'm strategic. And Lauren, sweetheart, you are not a victim. You are leverage. He took a step closer. Lauren flinched. You carry the key to a multi-billion-dollar land claim. My family needs it. My board expects it. You think running to Whitmore changes anything? It only proves you're unstable, unfit, a threat to the baby's future. That baby is not a business asset, Lauren shouted, voice cracking. Colton's eyes glowed with something dark. Every legacy heir is an asset. Something inside, Lauren snapped. Anger replaced fear, burning hot through her veins. But before she could speak, Jace stepped in front of her again, blocking Colton with a calmness that felt like steel. You need to leave, Jace said. Now. Colton tilted his head, studying him like a problem to solve. Or what? You'll protect her? You don't know half of what she's carrying. Jace's jaw clenched. I know enough. I was no. No, Colton whispered. You know nothing, but I'll give you a little preview. He slipped his hand inside the envelope and pulled out a glossy photograph, old, weathered, stamped with a state seal. He tossed it onto the marble floor. It skidded to Lauren's feet. Her breath caught in her chest. It was her father, younger, standing beside powerful businessmen. And one of them was Jace's father. Lauren stared at Jace, confusion and betrayal swirling like the storm outside. Why is my father in this? She whispered. Jace didn't answer. Colton's smile sharpened. Go on, Whitmore. Tell her. Or should I? Jace finally spoke, voice low, strained. That's not the whole story, Lauren. Colton leaned in, whispering like a blade to the throat. Oh, but she's about to hear the whole story. Then he lifted the envelope again, revealing another document tucked inside. Lauren felt her knees weaken, because the next paper had her name and the word guardianship printed in bold. Lauren didn't remember falling. One moment she was staring at the word guardianship like it was a blade pressed against her throat, and the next her legs gave out, dropping her to the marble floor of the penthouse. The cold stones seeped through her soaked dress, her breath coming in thin, broken gasps, as if the air had turned too heavy to swallow. Lauren, Jace crouched beside her immediately, his hand hovering at her shoulder, hesitant to touch without permission. Breathe. Look at me. But she couldn't. Everything inside her was collapsing at once. Her father, the inheritance she never knew, the forged documents, the media-feeding frenzy. And now guardianship? Her baby. Her own baby. She pressed a trembling palm to her stomach, terrified it might feel different now that someone was trying to claim it like property. I didn't know, she whispered. I didn't know any of this. I didn't know anything. Colton stood over her, the way a king regards a fallen pawn. Of course you didn't. Your father hid everything from you. Whitmore here knows the story. His father certainly did. Jace shot him a lethal glare. Enough. But Lauren's world was spinning too violently to focus. Memories flooded her, her father's distant late-night phone calls, the envelopes he kept locked in a little steel box, the way he always double-checked the windows. She used to think he was just anxious. Now she understood he was protecting something. Protecting her. Her throat closed. I can't do this. I can't fight all of you. I'm not. She swallowed a sob. I'm not strong enough. Don't say that, Jace said firmly. But the steadiness in his voice only made her cry harder. How could she trust him? How could she trust anyone? He'd known pieces of her past, pieces she didn't even know existed. He had answers she didn't even know to ask. Her voice cracked. Did you know about this guardianship? Did you know what Colton was planning? Jace hesitated. That one breath of silence cut deeper than any knife. Lauren recoiled. You did. His jaw tightened. I didn't know the details. I only knew your father left something behind. Something important. Something dangerous for the wrong people to control. So you let me walk into a marriage with a man who wanted to steal my child? Her voice broke into a cry. You knew something, and you said nothing. Jace opened his mouth, then closed it. There was nothing he could say that would make this moment hurt less. Colton exhaled like he was bored. This emotional display is exhausting. Lauren, darling, you're coming home with me. We'll settle the legalities in the morning. As a gesture. Her head snapped up, eyes burning. I'm not going anywhere with you. Colton offered a cruel smile. The courts won't agree. Lauren curled in on herself, tears streaming down her cheeks. Why is everyone trying to take my life from me? Jace's expression shifted, no longer guilt, no longer conflict, something colder, sharper, protective. You're not going anywhere with him, he said quietly. Not tonight, not ever. Colton stepped closer, towering over them. And who's going to stop me? Before Jace could respond, Lauren suddenly grabbed the edge of the couch, struggling to pull herself up. A sharp pain stabbed through her stomach, intense enough to steal her breath. Jace's eyes widened. Lauren, what's wrong? She gasped, hand flying to her belly. I think something's happening. Another pain ripped through her. And then, her knees buckled again. Jace, something's wrong with the baby. If you have them, Porter. Lauren's cry echoed through the penthouse, slicing through the tension like broken glass. She doubled over, clutching her stomach as another wave of pain tore through her, sharper and more violent than before. Jace moved instantly, catching her under the arms, steadying her before she collapsed again. Lauren, look at me, he urged. Can you breathe? She tried, but the pain didn't let her. Her breaths came quick and shallow, panic mixing with physical agony. It hurts so much, something's wrong. Colton, unbelievably, looked irritated rather than concerned. She's pregnant, Whitmore. Pregnant women have cramps. She's fine. Jace snapped his head toward him, fury flashing across his features. You don't get to speak, not one more word. But Lauren's vision was blurring. Her knees trembled, her body folding in on itself like a failing structure. Jace lifted her carefully, guiding her to the long leather sofa, his hands steady despite the storm inside him. Where is your doctor? He asked. Lauren shook her head, tears spilling over. Colton, he said, I didn't need one. His family doctor, he controls everything. Jace's jaw ticked. Behind him, Colton's smug shrug said everything. Of course I control it, Colton said. This child is... Say it, Jace interrupted, voice low and deadly. Say it, and I'll throw you out of this building myself. Colton smirked. Asset. Lauren's sob tore through the room. Jace turned away before anger made him reckless. He knelt in front of her, softening his voice. Lauren, I'm calling my doctor. My team. You and the baby are going to be okay. Lauren clutched his sleeve, trembling. But, if the news sees this, if they find out where I am... They won't, Jace said. My building is sealed. My network is locked down. No one gets in. 1-4. Her head fell back as the pain surged again. Jace reached into the sleek drawer of the side table, pulling out a small biometric device. He scanned his thumb, activating a secure line on a hidden panel. A holographic interface flickered to life. Get Dr. Winslow here. Emergency obstetrics protocol. 10 minutes, Jace ordered. Yes, sir. A voice responded instantly. Colton scoffed. You're overreacting. Jace turned his head slowly, eyes like cold steel. And you're leaving. Thanks for watching. Colton's facade cracked for the first time, anger flashing. If you think I'm letting you play hero with my child. Our child, Lauren screamed through tears, the pain sharpening her voice like a blade. Not yours alone, never yours. Her breath hitched. Her face went pale, frighteningly so. Jace felt her pulse. Too fast, too stressed. He leaned close, whispering, Lauren, look at me. Has this happened before? She hesitated, then nodded weakly. Once. At the Maddox estate, a few weeks ago. Jace froze. And what did their doctor say? Lauren's eyes filled with shame. He told me it was nothing. He said stress was my fault. Colton told him to discharge me. Jace closed his eyes, pain slicing through him. They hid something from you. Colton straightened, adjusting his cufflinks. She was fine then, she's fine now. Stop dramatizing. Colton, Jace said softly, shut your mouth. And then Lauren whispered something so faint he almost missed it. he said. There was a risk. Jace's head snapped up. Risk of what? Lauren looked at him with terror in her eyes. A genetic risk. Something in your father's records, Colton. Something they said only Maddox heirs could carry. Jace went still. Colton's expression flickered panic, horror, then rage. Lauren, you weren't supposed to know that. The entire room changed temperature. Lauren clutched her belly, crying out again. And Jace rose slowly, like a man who had just realized he'd been dragged into a war older than he knew. Colton stepped back, because the truth Lauren wasn't supposed to know was hidden in the one medical file Colton would burn the world to keep buried. Dr. Winslow arrived within minutes, gray hair, navy scrubs, and the calm authority of someone who delivered children for 3 decades. She hurried to Lauren's side, placing a portable monitor against her stomach as Jace hovered like a shadow, tension radiating off him. Lauren lay back on the sofa, breath shaking, face pale under the warm penthouse lights. She felt like she was drifting between fear and consciousness, her body no longer obeying her. Her blood pressure is dangerously high, Dr. Winslow murmured. Stress-induced, but with her history. She paused, glancing at Jace with a warning that made Lauren's skin crawl. We need to stabilize her immediately. Colton stepped closer. Give her something, and let's go. I'll take her home. Jace moved in front of him so fast the air shifted. She's not leaving with you. Dr. Winslow raised a hand, cutting through the tension. If she moves right now, the risk doubles, possibly triples. Lauren's breath hitched. Risk of what? The doctor hesitated, then sighed. Premature labor, complications, and in her case, genetic vulnerability. Lauren's heart stopped. Jace stiffened beside her, jaw clenching. Colton went silent, eyes darkening. What genetic vulnerability? Lauren whispered. Someone tell me the truth. Colton's voice cut through the room. You weren't supposed to know. Then tell her, Jace snapped. Dr. Winslow inhaled slowly. Your baby may carry a hereditary condition found in the Maddox bloodline. It can be dangerous if not monitored correctly. Lauren blinked. What condition? No one answered. The silence suffocated. Then Jace knelt beside her, lowering his voice. This is why you need protection, Lauren. Why running from that wedding was the best instinct you've ever had. Lauren pressed a trembling hand to her stomach. Her baby vulnerable? In danger? She'd been walking blind into a trap without knowing something inside her child could fail because of the man who wanted to own it. Her tears came silently this time. Colton scoffed. You're terrifying her for no reason. The condition is manageable. My family has dealt with it for decades. And how many died dealing with it? Jace shot back. Colton's jaw clenched. Tell Lauren he'd hit truth. Jace turned to Dr. Winslow. Keep her stable. I'll secure an ambulance. No. Lauren grabbed his wrist, eyes wide. If the press sees me being taken out on a stretcher, Colton wins. He'll use it against me. Dr. Winslow nodded. She's right. We handle this quietly. And chapter, DBCS. Lauren's breathing began to even out as the medication took hold, though fear still churned beneath her ribcage. She looked around the penthouse, the towering windows, the curated decor, the soft lamplight wrapping her like a protective cocoon. She had run into this storm by accident, yet for the first time, she felt a sliver of safety. Jace returned moments later with towels and a soft cashmere throw. He wrapped it around her shoulders, movements gentle, careful, as if she were glass. You're not alone, he said quietly. The words pierced something inside her. She had been alone her entire life. Alone through the loss of her parents, alone through her engagement, alone as she whispered to her unborn child at night, praying he or she would arrive into a world less cruel than the one she knew. But now, someone stood beside her who didn't want to control her, but protect her. Still, she couldn't trust him completely. Not yet. Not with the secrets still buried between them. As she steadied her breaths, Dr. Winslow pressed a few buttons, checking fetal vitals. Your baby is still strong, the doctor said softly, but you must avoid all stress, absolutely all. Lauren let out a shaky sigh of relief, sinking back into the sofa. For the first time since the wedding disaster began, hope flickered in her chest. Then the elevator chimed again. Only one person had access besides Jace, and when the doors opened, the person who stepped out made Lauren's blood run cold. When the elevator doors slid open, Lauren instinctively reached for Jace's arm. Her breath froze in her chest. Standing under the soft halo of the elevator light was a woman, elegant, polished, glowing with an unsettling kind of confidence. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble as she stepped forward, each step too sure, too familiar with this place. Avery Clark, Colton's mistress. The woman who'd been smiling beside him in tabloids. The woman Lauren once saw wearing a bracelet she herself had gifted Colton years ago. The woman who stood at the center of every lie. And now she was here. Avery? Jace's voice dipped into something colder than disbelief. What the hell are you doing in my building? She offered him a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Relax, Jace. Your security knows me. She looked around the penthouse with assessing curiosity. I've been here before. And before. Lauren stiffened. Before? Of course. Billionaire circles were small, their secrets smaller. Colton stepped forward, smugness returning like a stain. Avery is here because she has information relevant to this situation. Jace's jaw tightened. She shouldn't be anywhere near Lauren. Avery's gaze slid to Lauren, slow, amused, unsettlingly gentle. You look awful, sweetheart. I suppose running out of your own wedding will do that to a woman. Jace stepped between them, voice sharp. Say one more word, and... Oh, Jace. Avery waved a manicured hand. Always the protector. Even when you're protecting someone you barely know. Lauren swallowed hard. Avery's voice was calm, but every sentence cut like wire. Something in Avery's expression told Lauren this wasn't just cruelty, it was strategy. Colton opened the envelope again, holding up the guardianship papers. Avery brought the original copies, he said. Since you destroyed the ones at the estate. Overseat. Lauren's heart dropped. I never touched them. Avery shrugged. Someone did. Maybe it was you, Colton. She said it lightly, but the jab landed. Colton glared at her. Their alliance, thin as glass, was cracking. Avery approached Lauren with slow, deliberate steps. You know why he wants the baby, don't you? Truly know? Her voice softened, almost pitying. It's not just the land claim. It's the condition. Lauren trembled. What condition? Avery crossed her arms. Maddox men don't live long without medical intervention. The mineral estate your father left behind, it contains the rare metals needed for the treatment. Without access to it, Colton's life expectancy... Colton hissed, shut your mouth. But Avery didn't. She smiled at Lauren. He doesn't want the baby for the company, sweetheart. He wants it because Maddox heirs are the only match to continue extracting the metals needed for his treatment. It's not about business. It's about survival. And for it. The room went still. Lauren's pulse pounded in her ears, her child being hunted for its DNA, for medical greed. Her chest tightened, fury mixing with terror until she could barely breathe. Jace exhaled slowly, the final piece of the puzzle falling into place. So that's the truth, he whispered. The Maddox legacy isn't wealth, it's dependency. Colton lunged toward Avery, but she dodged lightly, smirking. Relax. I didn't tell her the worst part. End quote. Jace stepped in front of Lauren again, shielding her. What worst part? Avery looked directly at Lauren, her eyes dark with something between compassion and cruelty. Your father didn't die in an accident. He was murdered. Lauren felt the world collapse beneath her. Jace froze. Colton snapped. Avery. She only smiled. And the man who ordered it is standing in this room. For a full 10 seconds, no one breathed. Lauren sat frozen on the sofa, her fingers digging into the cushions as Avery's words echoed through her skull. Your father was murdered. The room seemed to tilt, the city lights behind the glass warping into streaks of gold and storm blue. She felt as though she were sinking underwater, every sound muffled except the frantic pounding of her own pulse. Jace was the first to move. He stepped toward Avery, expression darkening into something lethal. If you're lying... Avery held up both hands. I'm not. I swore loyalty to the Maddox family, not to Colton. And the truth is, your father, Lauren, became a threat the moment he refused to sign over the mineral estate. She paused, letting the words settle. Colton's father ordered the hit, and Colton approved the payout. Lauren's vision blurred, her breath caught in her throat, sharp and painful. No, my father died in an accident. That's what they told me. Borda. That's what they crafted for you, Avery replied. A clean story, a closed investigation, paid off authorities. They needed you naive and unprotected. Lauren's hands trembled violently. The betrayal was too big to comprehend. Her entire life built on a lie arranged by the man she'd almost married. Jace turned slowly toward Colton, eyes glacial. You involved her father in your family's medical supply chain. When he wouldn't turn over the estate, you murdered him, and then targeted his daughter for the baby she would eventually carry. Colton's mask cracked. Whitmore, shut up. You know nothing. Oh, I know enough, Jace said. Enough to bury you. Avery folded her arms. That's why I came. I'm done covering for him. His entire empire is collapsing. Inheritance, fraud, medical scheme, manipulated guardianship. Once the press gets the truth, Maddox Global will burn. End quote. Colton laughed suddenly, a hollow, dangerous sound. You think anyone will believe her? A runaway bride with fabricated instability? I've controlled the narrative for years. I can spin this in my sleep. Jace stepped forward. Not this time. Lauren looked up at him, breath shaky. What do you mean? Jace crouched beside her, his voice low but steady. Your father trusted mine. They had agreements, backup files, insurance. If what Avery is saying is true, then there are documents out there that prove the Maddox family orchestrated his death. Lauren's heart thudded. Documents? Where? Jace hesitated. I don't know, but I know how my father hid things, and if he protected your family, he didn't leave anything to chance. We'll find them. Colton's eyes narrowed. No, you won't. That's exactly what we're going to do, Jace replied. His calmness was scarier than anger. Doctor. Winslow stepped closer, interrupting the standoff. Lauren needs rest. Her vitals are improving but unstable. Stress could still trigger early labor. But Lauren shook her head. No rest. Not until Colton is exposed, not until my father gets justice. Her voice didn't shake this time. It carried something new, something fierce. Determination. Avery watched her with a strange mix of admiration and regret. Then you'll need more than determination. You'll need evidence. And I know where the first piece is. Colton's head snapped toward her. Avery, don't you dare. She smirked. Too late. Avery turned to Lauren. There's a vault, not at the estate, not at the company, somewhere else. Somewhere only two people knew existed. Lauren swallowed hard. Who? Avery smiled. Your father. And then she pointed slowly, meaningfully toward Jace. And his. Lauren's breath caught. Jace straightened, shock breaking through his composure. Because, if that was true, then the next step in exposing Colton Maddox was hidden inside the one place Jace never intended for Lauren to enter. The room seemed to pulse with a strange, heavy silence after Avery pointed toward Jace. Lauren felt her heartbeat echoing in her ears, steady, stronger than before, fueled now by something sharper than fear. A mission. A truth she needed to uncover. A father she needed to vindicate. But before she could speak, the penthouse elevator chimed again. Every head snapped toward it. This time, when the doors opened, no elegance stepped through, no Avery, no threat, no billionaire. Instead, a young man stumbled out, drenched from the storm, hair plastered to his forehead, clutching a leather messenger bag to his chest like a life raft. Wait, he gasped. Don't kick me out. I have something she needs. 2 Whitmore security guards followed him, each holding an arm, clearly having dragged him in against his will. The smaller guard said he insisted he knew Miss Hale, tried to force his way in through the loading dock. Should we? No, the young man cried. I'm her father's intern. I worked for Daniel Hale before he died. Please, let me talk to her. Lauren's breath caught. What's your name? Eli, he said, voice cracking. Eli Mercer. Her heart squeezed. She remembered the name. Her father had once mentioned the bright kid who asked too many questions. He said it fondly, warmly, like he rarely spoke about anyone else. Jace nodded at the guards. Let him go. Eli stumbled forward, nearly tripping over his soaked sneakers. He reached into his messenger bag with shaking hands, pulling out a stack of documents wrapped in plastic. These were hidden in your father's workshop, he said, thrusting them forward. He told me to keep them safe, just in case anything ever happened to him. Eli's eyes glossed with pain. I didn't understand what he meant until it was too late. He's quite live. Lauren reached out with trembling hands and took the documents. The plastic crackled as she peeled it back. Inside were blueprints, land deeds, and handwritten notes in her father's unmistakable scrawl. Her eyes filled with tears at the familiar loops and slants of his handwriting. He knew, Lauren whispered. He knew they were coming for him. Eli nodded desperately. Yes. He told me that if anyone ever asked about the Montana land, especially the Maddox family, I had to disappear. I did. For years. But when the news broke tonight, when I saw your face on every screen, his voice broke. I knew I couldn't hide anymore. Colton rolled his eyes. This is pathetic. That land is tied to Maddox inheritance law. Whatever little notes your father scribbled won't hold. Eli cut him off. Daniel Hale didn't just own the mining rights. He stepped closer, anger trembling through his voice. He owned the only safe extraction method. Without his permission, and now Lauren's, your family's medical treatments are worthless. Lauren's breath hitched. Jace's eyes widened. Avery smirked, pleased, and there it is. Colton's face drained of color. Eli pressed a small hard drive into Lauren's palm. All the scientific data, all the formulas, all the proof that the Maddox family manipulated the government into covering their condition for decades. Quote. Colton lunged forward, but Jace shoved him backward with enough force to make him stumble. Lauren clutched the hard drive to her chest like a shield. This, she whispered. This is everything. Eli nodded. Enough to take down Maddox Global, enough to avenge your father. Lauren's tears finally fell, not from fear, but from fury, purpose, rebirth. Jace looked at her with new understanding. This means you're not powerless, Lauren. You're the one person who can destroy him. If Friesen in Naust, Colton snarled. Over my dead body. Avery's brows lifted. That can be arranged. But Lauren stood, steady, no longer trembling. Her voice was soft but unbreakable. No, Colton. Over your legacy. Thunder cracked outside. And then she added something that made Colton freeze. We start tomorrow. At the shareholders' meeting, the storm outside intensified through the night, lightning carving sharp white scars across the Manhattan skyline. Inside the penthouse, however, a different storm was brewing, one silently orchestrated by a man who'd built an empire on manipulation, intimidation, and destruction disguised as charm. Colton Maddox was no longer the polished groom from earlier that evening. Now he paced the penthouse like a trapped predator, calculating, simmering, studying every exit, every reaction, every weakness in the room. The shadows clung to him, stretching his silhouette into something monstrous. Lauren watched him warily from the sofa. Eli beside her, clutching his messenger bag like a shield. Jace stood between them and Colton, calm but unyielding, the quiet fury in his posture, a warning to anyone paying attention. But Colton wasn't afraid. He was enraged. You think you can walk into my company tomorrow, Colton sneered, and destroy everything the Maddox family built? A frightened little intern, he pointed at Eli. A runaway bride, his eyes slashed toward Lauren, and the son of the man who bankrupted half of Wall Street in 2008? Jace's eyes sharpened. Say my father's name again. Try it. Colton ignored him, turning his venom back to Lauren. You've always been so naive. You think justice exists for people like you? You think you can beat me with documents, with witnesses, with science? His voice rose, vibrating with unhinged fury. I own judges. I own senators. I own the patents to the treatments that keep my entire dynasty alive. Lauren swallowed, but she didn't look away. Then why are you so scared? A muscle twitched in Colton's jaw. Avery let out a quiet laugh behind him. Oh, he's terrified. He just hides it behind monologues. Colton spun on her. You betrayed me. You betrayed everyone, Avery replied calmly, including yourself. Colton stepped closer, face twisted. I gave you everything. No, Avery corrected. You used me. There's a difference. Jace moved subtly, shifting in front of Lauren, sensing danger rising. Colton noticed. His eyes narrowed. You're protecting her like she's yours. Jace didn't blink. No, I'm protecting her because she deserves protection. Something you've never given anyone. Thanks for watching. Colton's breath shuddered with contained violence. You think she'll choose you? You think you'll play hero and ride into the sunset? She doesn't know you, Whitmore. She doesn't know what your family did. She doesn't know what you're capable of. Lauren tensed, sensing the trap in his voice. What are you talking about? Colton smiled, the kind of smile that belonged to a man who just found the perfect blade. Ask him, he said softly. Ask Jace why his father had access to your father's research. Ask him why the Whitmore estate was the last place your father visited before he died. Lauren's heart quickened. Jace, is that true? Jace inhaled slowly, the weight of truth heavy on his shoulders. Your father and mine worked together. Yes, they were partners in protecting the Montana estate, but my father didn't. Colton cut him off with a laugh. Didn't what? Didn't push Daniel Hale toward the Maddox family? Didn't convince him to negotiate with us? Didn't profit from the minerals? Jace's fists clenched. Lauren's breathing turned shallow. The room felt smaller. Colton's voice echoed in her ears like poison dripping steadily, infecting every doubt she'd ever carried. Colton stepped closer, lowering his voice until it slithered into her bones. Lauren, you ran from the wrong man. Jace stiffened. Don't listen to him. If you form us. But Colton wasn't finished. Ask yourself this. Why did Jace show up the exact moment you ran? Why did his security let you in? Why was he already tracking Maddox transactions related to your estate? Lauren's pulse hammered. Jace, she whispered. He opened his mouth, but the penthouse lights suddenly flickered, then went black. A power outage swept across the tower, and in the darkness, a single sound echoed, the metallic click of someone chambering a bullet. Darkness swallowed the penthouse, thick and total. Lauren froze, every muscle tightening as the metallic click echoed again, sharp, cold, unmistakable. A gun. Someone had brought a gun into Whitmore Tower. Eli let out a strangled gasp. Avery cursed under her breath, and Jace moved instantly, placing his body in front of Lauren as if the instinct had been carved into his bones. Stay behind me, he whispered. Colton's voice floated through the dark. Relax. If I wanted her dead, she wouldn't have made it out of the chapel. But you want something worse, Avery shot back. Control. The emergency generators hummed to life. A soft red glow illuminated the penthouse, just enough to reveal Colton standing still, empty hands raised mockingly, as if daring them to accuse him. I didn't bring the gun, he said, but someone in this room did. Lauren's breath trembled. Who? But no one answered. A security alarm chimed distantly, signaling backup power failure across several floors. Jace's jaw flexed. Someone had intentionally cut the systems. This wasn't an accident. This was an attack. He tapped his watch twice, activating a silent alert to his head of security. We're going downstairs, he said, gripping Lauren's arm gently. We're leaving the tower until we know who's inside. Colton smirked. Running away again? A pattern. Protecting her, Jace corrected. A concept foreign to you. But it wasn't Colton Lauren was afraid of right now. It was the darkness between them, the missing pieces in Jace's story, the shadows in his eyes whenever her father's name was mentioned. Yet, she followed him. Security met them at the private elevator. Within minutes, Jace had them escorted to an underground garage, then into a black SUV with tinted bulletproof glass. Lauren leaned into the leather seat, trembling not from fear this time, but from uncertainty. Where are we going? She whispered. Somewhere safe, Jace replied. Eli clutched his messenger bag. Is anywhere safe? Yes, Jace said. My public. Lauren blinked. Your what? He met her eyes. Tomorrow morning, I'm holding a press conference. Avery raised a brow. You're going to air Maddox's crimes in front of the entire city? No, Jace said calmly. I'm going to tell the world the truth about Lauren. Lauren's chest tightened. Jace, no, I already look unstable. Because Colton crafted that narrative, Jace said. I'm about to dismantle it. The SUV cut through the rain-soaked streets toward Midtown. Jace continued, I'll confirm your father's research existed. I'll confirm Maddox Global tried to seize it. I'll reveal the forged marriage license and the guardianship attempt. The world needs to know you ran because you were in danger, not because you were guilty. Lauren shook her head, overwhelmed. People will think you're doing this for attention. I don't care what they think, he said. I care that you're protected. Avery smirked. Colton will lose his mind. Good, Jace said. Let him. The SUV pulled into an underground entrance beneath Whitmore Square, the headquarters of Jace's company. Dozens of security officers lined the route to a private conference hall. Lauren's heart hammered as she stepped out. The air smelled faintly of ozone and polished wood. Reporters would flood this place in just hours. Cameras, lights, headlines. Are you ready for this? Jace asked quietly. No, she whispered honestly, but I'm ready to stop being afraid. For the first time, Jace allowed himself a faint smile. Then let's begin. But as they reached the door to the main hall, Jace's head of security rushed toward them, pale and breathless. Sir, there's a problem. Jace stiffened. What now? The guard held out a tablet showing a breaking news bulletin. Lauren felt the world tilt. Colton Maddox was already on live television, and he was naming Jace Whitmore as the man who abducted Lauren and the unborn baby. Lauren stood frozen as the tablet screen lit up with Colton's perfectly rehearsed performance. On national television, framed by the gleaming Maddox Global logo, he looked polished, composed, tragically concerned, the living embodiment of a billionaire victim. My fiancée, Colton said, voice trembling just enough to seem sincere, was abducted from our wedding venue by Jace Whitmore. He exploited her vulnerability. He manipulated her. And now, he's taken my unborn child. Lauren's stomach twisted. Her knees weakened. He wasn't just lying, he was reshaping reality in real time. A graphic beside him read, Breaking. Whitmore accused of kidnapping pregnant bride. Jace slammed the conference hall door so hard the hinges rattled. He's staging a full-scale smear campaign. Avery muttered, he's good. Evil, but good. Eli paced in small, frantic circles. What do we do? Everyone believes him. Lauren felt the walls closing in. Every nightmare she'd tried to outrun was now amplified on every TV screen in America. She could almost hear the whispers already. Poor, unstable girl. Unfit mother. Another woman, manipulated by power. Her throat tightened. This is exactly what he warned me about, she whispered. He said the world would believe him over me. Jace stepped toward her. Lauren, look at me. But she couldn't. Not when the world outside was tearing her apart. She covered her face with both hands. He just made me look like I abandoned my baby, like I'm unhinged, like I'm dangerous. Her voice broke. Who's going to give a mother like that custody? Silence clung to the room like fog. Then Jace gently lowered her hands. You will not lose your child. I swear to you. I do. In it, Estra. But Lauren shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. This is bigger than us now. Colton has senators, judges, media anchors. He owns the narrative. And we, Jace said, voice firm, are going to take it back. He walked to the center of the room, rolling up his sleeves like a man preparing for war. He wants a public battle? He'll get one. But this time, Lauren, you won't stand alone. Avery crossed her arms. We need proof. Hard evidence. Something Colton can't twist. T31. Eli lifted the hard drive he'd brought. It's all here. Medical correspondence, forged contracts, the Maddox hereditary condition. Enough to launch 10 investigations. Jace nodded. Then we use it. Lauren exhaled shakily. Her heartbeat still raced, but something new flickered beneath the panic resolve. What if the world still doesn't believe me? She whispered. They don't need to believe you yet, Jace said. They just need to hear you. Avery added, and see him crumble. End quote. Jace approached Lauren carefully, like she was standing on a fracture line. Tomorrow morning, you speak. You, not me. You tell the truth. The real story, the one he's been burying for years. Lauren swallowed. And if I fall apart on camera? He held her gaze. Then you fall apart. The truth doesn't need perfection. It needs courage. Her breath trembled. She wiped her eyes, straightened her spine, and nodded. But before anyone could speak again, Jace's head of security burst into the room, gasping for breath. Sir, urgent update. The press conference location is compromised. Someone leaked your schedule. Jace's expression sharpened. Who leaked it? The guard hesitated. Someone inside your company. Avery cursed. Eli paled. Lauren stared at Jace, dread slowly rising again. Someone working for you leaked our location? She whispered. But the guard wasn't finished. There's more. Sir, the person who leaked it, he swallowed hard, is already inside the building. And they're looking for Lauren. Lauren felt the cold rush through her veins. Someone loyal to Colton was coming for her, and they were only steps away. Alarms were already sounding on the lower floors when Jace snapped into action. Lockdown level 3 through level 7, he ordered. Nobody gets in without my direct clearance. But the guard shook his head. breathless. "Sir, whoever leaked the schedule, they had your override codes." A chill rippled down Lauren's spine. Someone with access. Someone trusted. Someone close. Avery cursed. This is exactly Maddox's playbook. He doesn't win in the boardroom. He wins in the shadows. Jace placed a steadying hand on Lauren's back. "We're moving. Now." Security surrounded them, guiding them down a private hallway toward the medical suite inside Whitmore Square. Lauren's heart hammered as the elevator doors slid open. Every second felt heavier than the last, her steps unsteady, her body exhausted from stress and lies and fear. Inside the medical room, Dr. Winslow was already waiting, summoned by Jace's emergency call. She wheeled out a fetal monitor, her expression urgent but calm. "Lauren," she said softly, "lay back. Let me check the baby's vitals." Lauren nodded and eased onto the examination table. Her breath shivered. The gel felt cold against her skin as Dr. Winslow pressed the probe lightly to her stomach. A moment of static. Then, a steady, strong heartbeat filled the room. Lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. Lauren gasped, tears springing to her eyes. For a moment, everything else disappeared, the danger, the lies, the betrayal. Her baby was fighting, strong, alive. But Dr. Winslow didn't smile. Her eyebrows knit, her posture squared. She adjusted the machine, pressed the probe again, deeper. The heartbeat echoed again, healthy, rhythmic. But the doctor's frown deepened. "Dr. Winslow?" Lauren whispered. "What's wrong?" The doctor inhaled slowly, choosing each word like it could shatter the world. "The genetic markers. The Maddox condition." She paused. "Your baby doesn't have it." Silence. Colton, standing near the door under security watch, stiffened. "What did you say?" "The baby," Dr. Winslow repeated, turning the monitor toward Jace, "does not carry the hereditary Maddox defect." Lauren blinked. But that doesn't make sense," Colton said. "The baby." "No," Dr. Winslow said firmly. "This child is completely free of the Maddox genetic signature." Jace froze. Avery's jaw dropped. Eli nearly dropped his bag. Colton's face drained of all color. And then the truth hit the room with the force of an explosion. Jace looked at Lauren. Really looked at her. "Lauren, this means—" Dr. Winslow finished the sentence. "Colton is not the baby's father." The floor seemed to dissolve beneath everyone's feet. Lauren's breath caught. "What? No, I never." Colton was the only— But Dr. Winslow shook her head. "Genetically impossible. This baby is not a Maddox heir." Colton surged forward, face twisted with a rage so bright it bordered on madness. "Rerun the test. Fix the machine. You don't know what you're—" "Enough," Dr. Winslow snapped. "Science doesn't bend to your temper." As for was. Jace stepped between Colton and Lauren again, voice low, dangerous. "So that's why you rushed the wedding. Not just for the land claim. You were terrified the baby might not be yours." Colton's breathing turned ragged. "This is manipulation. Lies." "She's lying." Lauren's eyes filled not with shame, but with realization. Painful, disorienting realization. "My father," she whispered. "He told me once before he died that love doesn't always look the way you expect." I never understood what he meant. Avery stared at Jace. "Then, who is the father?" Jace's lips parted, but no sound came out. Something in his expression shifted. Shock, then fear, then recognition. Lauren stared at him, her heart thundering. "Jace," she whispered, "why are you looking at me like that?" Everyone went still. And then Jace inhaled sharply, as if a memory he'd buried long ago had suddenly broken the surface. "Lauren, there's something you need to know about the night your father died." The sun had barely risen when the black SUVs rolled into the underground parking of Maddox Global Headquarters. Manhattan's dawn painted gold across the glass towers, but the city felt colder than usual, quiet, tense, like it sensed that a dynasty was about to fall. Lauren stepped out first. She looked nothing like the trembling runaway bride from the night before. Her hair was pulled back into a sleek twist. A fitted charcoal coat draped her shoulders. Her gaze steady, calm, unflinching, cut through the morning haze. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was here to end this. Behind her walked Jace, Avery, Eli, and 2 discreet security officers. But even with their presence, Lauren felt the weight of what she was about to face. Maddox Global wasn't just a company. It was a fortress, one built on centuries of power, deceit, and blood money. But now she had truth, evidence, and something more dangerous: resolve. The lobby erupted in murmurs the moment she stepped in. Reporters swarmed behind barricades, shouting her name, her pregnancy already trending across every platform. Jace stood close, shielding her from flashing cameras. Avery leaned over. "Remember, if you show fear, they'll think they own you." "I'm not afraid anymore," Lauren whispered. She meant it. They entered the top-floor boardroom, a massive space framed by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking all of Manhattan. The long marble table gleamed under the recessed lighting, surrounded by the 12 board members who controlled the Maddox empire. Colton stood at the head of the table. No suit today. No wedding polish. Just a man unraveling from the inside out, mask slipping with every heartbeat. "You shouldn't be here," he said coldly. Lauren stepped forward. "Then you shouldn't have lied." Gasps circled the room. Jace slid a folder onto the table hard. Eli placed the hard drive beside it. Avery crossed her arms, daring anyone to challenge them. "This," Jace said, "is evidence of fraud, medical manipulation, attempted guardianship, theft, and accessory to murder involving the Maddox family over the past 20 years. The room erupted in whispers. Colton slammed his fist down. "This is all fabricated." End quote. Lauren's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Then why does the medical file show my baby doesn't carry the Maddox genetic defect?" Silence. Board members exchanged stunned glances. Jace continued. "And why does every forged document tie back to executives under your private payroll?" A very old, very stern board member, Miss Waverly, adjusted her glasses. "Mr. Maddox, if these allegations are true, you have violated no less than 7 inheritance laws." Colton's jaw twitched. "These people are manipulating you." She, Lauren, is unstable. "Unstable?" Lauren repeated softly. "Or inconvenient?" Another board member spoke up. "We saw the press conference. You accused Whitmore of kidnapping your pregnant fiancée." Lauren stepped forward, revealing a printed screen capture. "My doctor confirmed last night that Colton Maddox is not the father." Shock rippled through the room like a physical wave. Colton lunged forward. "That test was tampered with." Avery cut in smoothly. "Or you were lying from the beginning." Eli added, "And we have the timestamps to prove the genetic inconsistencies." The board murmured urgently. Miss Waverly raised a hand. "Mr. Maddox, until a full internal investigation is completed, we motion to suspend you as CEO, effective immediately." Colton froze. "No," he whispered. "You can't." The vote was unanimous. Jace reached into his coat, pulling out the small metal box Lauren's father had left behind. He slid it toward her. "It's time," he said quietly. "Open it." Lauren's fingers trembled as the latch clicked. Inside were letters, photos, a key, a sealed envelope with her name, and one line on the top letter. "Your future is bigger than theirs. Protect the truth, Lauren." Tears filled her eyes. But before she could read on, the boardroom doors burst open, and the man from the diner, the real father of her baby, stepped inside. The boardroom fell into an impossible stillness as the doors swung open. Every head turned, every breath caught, and Lauren, frozen mid-step, felt the world tilt beneath her feet. He stood in the doorway, rain-soaked from the storm outside, his jacket clinging to broad shoulders, dark hair dripping onto the polished marble floor. But his eyes, those steady, amber-warm eyes, were exactly as she remembered. The man from the diner, the stranger who helped her when her car broke down 6 months ago, the quiet, gentle presence who stayed with her until the tow truck arrived, who bought her a hot chocolate because she looked cold, who insisted on walking her safely to her apartment steps. He had disappeared without telling her his name, and she had never forgotten him. Now he stepped into the room, jaw set, expression tight like he'd been holding a truth for far too long. "Lauren," he said softly. Her breath trembled. You're real. You're here." Behind her, Jace stiffened. Avery glanced back and forth between them, eyes wide. Colton snarled. And the board whispered among themselves because the tension was unmistakable. The man stepped closer. "My name is Rowan Hale." Lauren blinked. "Hale?" Rowan nodded. "I'm your cousin. Daniel Hale was my uncle." Lauren's knees weakened. A family member. The first she'd met since childhood. Her father had always kept the family distant, claiming it was safer that way. She'd thought it was grief or pride. She now understood it was protection. Rowan's voice softened. Your father asked me to find you if anything happened. I tried, God, I tried, but the Maddox family kept moving you, redirecting your mail, blocking every trace. Colton scoffed. Convenient story. But Rowan didn't even look at him. His gaze locked on Lauren. The night we met at the diner? That wasn't an accident. I found records showing Maddox agents were following you. I intervened. Lauren swallowed. You saved me? Rowan nodded once. I wanted to tell you the truth, everything. But I also didn't want to pull you into the war your father died trying to end. Avery muttered under her breath. Well, too late for that now. Rowan continued, voice steady. After your father died, he left instructions, letters, warnings, and one more thing. He turned toward the boardroom, lifting a folder. Proof that the Maddox patriarch ordered Daniel Hale's murder. The board erupted. Colton slammed his hand down. This is a setup. Rowan's calm didn't break. There's also DNA evidence proving the child Lauren carries cannot biologically be yours. He paused. Which your father also knew. Lauren felt tears slip down her cheeks. Why? Why me? Why did they come after me? Rowan looked at her gently. Because you carry the unbroken Hale lineage. Because your father was the only one capable of producing the mineral extraction methods Maddox needed. Because you inherited everything they wanted but couldn't legally take. Then Rowan added, voice softer. And because you're stronger than they ever expected. Lauren's heart clenched. Colton, losing control, lunged across the table toward Rowan, but Jace caught him by the collar, slamming him back against the marble wall. You're done, Jace hissed. Board members rose from their seats in chaos, shouting motions, demanding security, calling for immediate removal of Colton Maddox as CEO. It was collapsing now faster, heavier, more violently than Colton had ever imagined. His empire was burning, and Lauren stood at the center, not as prey, but as judgment. Rowan stepped beside her. There's more, Lauren. Something your father wanted you to know. She looked up at him, breath shaking. What is it? Rowan opened the next document in the folder. Your father didn't just leave you land, or research, or warnings. He turned the page. He left you ownership. Lauren's pulse stopped. Ownership of what? She whispered. Rowan met her eyes. Of the entire mineral estate. And the patent that can shut down Maddox Global forever. To heaven. To heaven. To heaven, to heaven. The boardroom had erupted into chaos, but for the first time since the nightmare began, Lauren felt something unfamiliar rising inside her strength. Not the desperate kind she had clung to for months, but a grounded, anchored certainty. The truth was out. Her father's legacy was no longer buried. And Colton Maddox, a man who had controlled her future like a puppet master, was losing every string. Rowan placed the proof in front of the board, signed affidavits, timestamps, sealed letters from Daniel Hale warning of the Maddox family's intentions, and the patent papers that undermined the entire Maddox medical empire. The documents glowed under the boardroom lights, each one a fatal blow to Colton's dynasty. Miss Waverly, the eldest board member, cleared her throat. Mr. Maddox, these papers confirm that your family has illegally manipulated mineral extraction and medical access for decades. You have committed fraud, coercion, and conspiracy. I did what I had to do, Colton roared, veins bulging. My family would have died without the treatment. You don't understand, this was survival. Lauren stepped forward, voice calm yet sharp. You don't cure suffering by creating more of it. Colton locked eyes with her. Hatred. Desperation. You ruined everything. Dashin 44. No, Lauren said softly. You did that yourself. Security approached him, but Colton shoved them away, chest heaving. This isn't over. Hale blood will always belong to Maddox. Rowan cut in. Not anymore, not with her holding the patent. And not with me exposing your father's involvement in the murder, Avery added coldly. Checkmate, Colton. Jace stepped closer, face inches from Colton's. You're finished. Colton lunged not at Jace, not at Rowan, but at Lauren. He reached for her wrist, rage twisting his features. But he never made contact. Jace moved first, grabbing Colton by the collar and slamming him onto the conference table, so hard the glass cracked underneath the impact. Rowan rushed in, pinning Colton's other arm. "Touch her again," Jace growled, breath shaking, "and no investigation in the world will save you." Security swarmed in, finally pulling Colton from their grip. The board member nearest them announced, "Mr. Maddox, you are hereby stripped of all executive power, effective immediately." His screams echoed down the hallway as they dragged him away, a dethroned king with no kingdom left to rule. Silence fell. A different kind of silence, one filled with relief, release, and the faint spark of hope. Lauren exhaled as though she had been holding her breath for years. Her hands trembled, but not from fear this time, from victory. From reclaiming everything stolen from her father, her child, herself. Miss Waverly stood and approached her. "Miss Hale, with your ownership of the mineral estate and the patent rights, you have the authority to greenlight new ethical treatment protocols. We would like to offer you temporary oversight while the company undergoes restructuring." Lauren opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She looked at Rowan, at Avery, at Jace. Each of them nodded in support. "Your father would be proud," Rowan whispered. Tears filled her eyes. "I just want the truth honored. And the cycle to end." Jace touched her hand gently. "You ended it today." But before she could respond, security rushed back into the boardroom, faces pale. "Miss Hale, Mr. Whitmore Rowan, there's a situation outside." Lauren's heart tightened. "What now?" The guard swallowed hard. Colton Maddox escaped custody during transport. Avery cursed under her breath. Jace stepped closer to Lauren. Rowan scanned the exits. The guard continued, voice trembling, and he took someone hostage on the way out. Lauren felt her blood run cold. "He took the person who leaked your location, and he's demanding one thing, you." Lauren felt the cold sweep through her chest like a tidal wave. Colton Maddox escaped, hostage taken, and now demanding her. The last convulsion of a dying tyrant. Rowan stepped in front of her immediately. "You're not going anywhere near him." Jace stood beside her, voice low, firm. "He wants control. He wants leverage. He's never getting either again." But Lauren shook her head, not in fear, but in clarity. "No more running. This ends today. On my terms." Avery exhaled, watching Lauren with something like awe. "Then let's finish this." Police led them to the abandoned loading dock where Colton had barricaded himself. SWAT vehicles surrounded the perimeter, red and blue lights bouncing off steel and concrete. Officers whispered updates into radios. Helicopters rumbled overhead. And at the center of it all stood Colton, face wild, hair disheveled, desperation radiating from every inch of him. One arm locked tightly around a terrified junior employee from Whitmore Innovations, the mole he had used to leak Lauren's location. The other hand waved a gun. When he saw Lauren, his eyes ignited. "There you are," he hissed. "You run, you hide, you lie, you try to ruin me, but I always win, always." End quote. Lauren stepped forward, ignoring the shouts from officers. She kept her hands visible, voice steady. "You've lost, Colton. The board removed you. The truth is out. My father's legacy is protected. The baby isn't yours. There's nothing left for you to control." He snarled, pressing the gun harder against the hostage's temple. "You think this is over? You think you'll walk away happy? You killed everything I built." "No," Lauren said, her voice soft but unbreakable. "You built your own destruction." Jason Rowan flanked her slowly, eyes locked on the gun. Colton's voice cracked. "I needed that baby. It was my only chance. My cure. My legacy. You stole that from me." Lauren shook her head. "No one stole anything from you. You tried to steal my life, my child. And you killed my father to do it." Colton's face contorted. "He forced my hand." "Just like you forced mine?" Lauren whispered. Silence. She stepped closer, not recklessly, but powerfully. Like a woman who had finally reclaimed herself. "You don't scare me anymore." Colton's hand shook. For the first time, fear flickered in his eyes. "Stop, don't come any closer." But Lauren did. One step, then another. "You can't hurt me," she said, "because you already lost." The hostage saw an opening just 1 second of Colton's hesitation and ducked. Rowan lunged, knocking the hostage out of the line of fire. At that exact second, officers surged forward. Colton fired. The shot echoed. Lauren flinched. But Jace was there, pulling her into his chest before the bullet hit the concrete several feet behind them. SWAT tackled Colton to the ground, wrestling the gun away as he screamed, thrashed, howled like a man watching the last piece of his kingdom crumble. It was over. Truly over. Hours later, after statements were taken and medical checks completed, Lauren sat in the quiet garden behind the precinct, the city lights shimmering through the dusk sky. Jace approached slowly, not intruding, just present. "You did it," he said softly. Lauren rested a hand on her belly, tears warming her cheeks, not from fear, from release. "We did it. My father, my child, they're safe." Rowan stepped out next, placing a sealed envelope in her hand, the one from her father's box. Lauren opened it. "My Lauren, if you're reading this, you survived. Live freely, love bravely, and never let fear choose your future. Dad." She cried, then full, cleansing, grateful tears. Jace knelt before her, taking her trembling hands gently. "You deserve more than survival," he whispered. "You deserve a life, a home, a partner who chooses you every day, if you'll have him." Lauren looked into his eyes, steady, warm, unwavering. For the first time in her life, the future felt like hers. "Yes," she whispered, and Jace pulled her into a soft, steady embrace as Manhattan glowed around them, no storms left, only light. Justice served. Legacy restored. A new family beginning. No loose ends. No unfinished stories. The war ended and Lauren Hale won. So, that's it. Our story has finally come to an end. And if you're still here, watching and listening until this moment, I know something in this journey touched your heart in a real way. Maybe it reminded you of your own strength. Maybe it reminded you that even when life feels unfair, you still have the power to rise again. You know, the Stoics used to say, "The obstacle is the way," meaning, the very pain we fear becomes the path toward who we're meant to be. Lauren's journey shows exactly that. Every betrayal, every loss, every heartbreak taught her how to reclaim her voice, her worth, her future. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. We can't control what others do to us, but we can choose what we become afterward. And sometimes, what we become is stronger, clearer, and more alive than ever." If this story moved you, inspired you, or healed a small part of your heart, then do me one small favor. Like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel so you never walk these journeys alone. We're here with you, and your story matters too.